All right, so picture this. A cat stuck 35 feet up in a tree for 3 days straight.
Oh, wow.
That's the story you guys sent us, Florence, Alabama. And full disclosure, I am a sucker for a good animal rescue.
Yeah.
But this one, this one had it all. I mean, we're talking power lines, we're talking multiple rescue attempts.
Yeah.
This was not your average fire truck, coming to the rescue situation.
No, not at all.
Hmm.
And it really highlights, I think, the misconceptions that people often have about these situations. They
Right.
think, oh, cat in a tree, call the fire department. They'll come with a big ladder. Problem solved.
Exactly.
But as Christophe's story, that's our cat in the tree today, as
Right.
Christophe's story is going to show us, it's rarely ever that simple.
Not even close. So walk us through this. I wanna hear how this unfolded.
Absolutely. So if you can imagine, this is already day 2 of the rescue attempt.
Okay.
Christophe is way up high, perched precariously on this branch, and our narrator, who's actually an experienced rescuer in their own right, arrives on the scene. And they're finding out that the initial attempt, which was made by a guy named Max.
Hold on. Meow Max, right? From the email.
Yes. Yes, Meow Max, that's him.
Meow Max cat rescue. I love it.
Right. So Max, experienced as he is, ran into a bit of a snag on day 1. And, given your love of all creatures great and small, I think you'll appreciate this.
Oh.
His throw line got tangled in utility lines.
Oh, no. Okay, I've been there. You think you've got everything under control, and then the wind or, some force of nature is just working against you. I get it.
It happens to the best of us. And, of course, when you're dealing with something as dangerous as power lines, safety has to be the absolute priority.
For sure.
Both for the rescuer and, of course, for Christophe up there.
Absolutely.
Luckily, some very helpful utility workers were able to untangle the line. But it just goes to show these things can escalate pretty quickly.
No kidding. So the line's untangled. Max is ready to go. He makes his way up the tree. What happened next?
Well, Christophe, much like most cats would be in this scenario, was, well, less than thrilled to have a human invading his space, so to speak.
Right.
So he got spooked. And instead of, coming down, he scrambled even further out on the limb.
Making a rescue impossible at that point.
Exactly. And it's really important to remember that, cats in these situations, often they're more afraid of us than they are of the height.
Interesting.
Their instinct is to retreat, to get away from the perceived threat.
Okay, so that makes sense. So what do? You can't just leave them up there.
Right. This is where Plan B comes in, what's known in the rescue world as the kitty elevator.
Her kitty elevator. I love it.
Basically, it's a bucket loaded with, all the tastiest, most tempting cat food you can imagine.
Okay.
And you lower it down, hoping the allure of a good meal will be stronger than the fear.
So you're banking on a hungry cat being less afraid of a bucket than, say, a human with a rope.
Exactly. Now, full disclosure, it doesn't always work.
Right.
But it does tap into those primal instincts. And in Christophe's case, well, let's just say the call of the wild salmon wasn't quite enough.
So no Christophe in the bucket. Day 2.
Day 2. No Christophe. And that's where our narrator, they step in to try their hand at bringing him home.
Okay, so the pressure's on. They've got a scared cat, 35 feet up a tree?
35 feet up, further out on the branch than before, and a whole lot of pressure, as you said.
So what'd they do?
Our narrator, they'd heard about the whole utility line incident the day before, so they decide to avoid that whole mess entirely.
Good clan.
Right? So they set their throw line higher, aiming for about 50 feet. Now I know this might sound counterintuitive.
Yeah, a little bit.
But it's all about finding that balance between reaching the cat and not spooking him further out onto the limb.
Okay.
Well, as you might have guessed, poor Christophe gets spooked again and moves even further away from the trunk.
So what do you do in that situation? You've got a cat who's scared, hungry, I assume, at this point.
Yeah, and you can't really reason with him, can you?
No, not really. No, cats are gonna cat, right?
Exactly. But our narrator, they're thinking strategically. They realize that Christophe instinctively is going to try to get back to a sense of security, which means back to that tree trunk.
Makes sense.
So they climb up the tree and they place a live trap in Christophe's, shall we say, preferred resting spot. They're basically using his fear and his instinct to their advantage.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's like the only way for him to feel safe again is to go into this thing that seems a little scary itself.
Precisely. And they leave the trap overnight, hoping hunger will eventually, win out over fear.
So what happened?
Day 3, the moment of truth. Emily, remember her.
Christophe's owner.
Christophe's very relieved owner. She messages our narrator, and Christophe is in the trap.
Oh, thank goodness.
Right. Everyone's overjoyed they get him down safe and sound.
Happy ending for Christophe. But I gotta imagine this whole thing probably had everyone involved thinking twice about letting their cats roam free.
You're absolutely right to bring that up. You see, Christophe's story, it's not just a heartwarming tale of rescue. It's a stark reminder of the importance of responsible pet ownership, specifically keeping our feline friends indoors.
Because this isn't just a one-off.
Not at all. Indoor cats, they live significantly longer lives. We're talking an average of 10, 15 years, sometimes even longer.
Wow.
Outdoor cats, they face countless threats. Cars, predators, diseases, you name it. And those dangers, they take a toll. We're talking an average lifespan of just 2 to 5 years for outdoor cats.
That's a massive difference.
It is. And while we're thrilled Christophe's story had a happy ending, sadly, that's not always the case.
That's a really good point. So for everyone listening who might be thinking, oh, my cat loves to roam, or he's got 9 lives, he'll be fine, maybe think twice.
Absolutely.
Christophe's little adventure, it's a good reminder that sometimes the safest place for our furry friends is right here, snuggled up with us on the couch.
Couldn't agree more.
Now, for all of you listening, I want to know, put yourself in the narrator's shoes for a second. You're staring up at this 50-foot tree. You've got a very annoyed, very scared cat. What's your next move? Hit us up on social media. Let us know your rescue plan because we want to hear it. And until next time, stay curious.